Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Gordon Cobb. I'm very pleased to be here contributing to Dr. Shauna Takis's UDL showcase. A little bit of background about me. I was a composer and sound designer for many years before I became an academic. As a student, I was always that kid in class who didn't want to write a paper. I'm a composer who thinks visually, so I have mild synesthesia. I can listen to music and hear shapes and colors. Um, what's interesting about UDL for me is it is very similar to multimodalities, social semiotics, and in particular multimodality, which is what I discovered as a PhD student at SFU, where I completed a PhD in arts education. And in particular, what I was focusing on was music video production with at-risk youth. And so I had to figure out a way to show my learning, to represent my research and my data. And so I used multimodality in that way because it very similar to the action and expression component of UDL. It allows you to use multiple media for communication or multiple modes of communication. So as an instructor, what I really like about UDL is just that it's kind of an advocate for student voice and choice. It allows me to allow my students to show their learning in a way that makes sense for them, to not just require everything to be written, to have their ideas expressed as black text on a white page. I find that suffocating. I'm a creative weirdo. I would rather make a short mini documentary film about my learning, or create an infographic, or even do like a stop motion animation or something. I'm always trying to work outside the box. Sometimes it's just because I'm bored and I want to do something different than more writing. But a lot of times for me, with my weirdo artist brain, the paper format just doesn't work. There's my brain just decides that there's a better way to show what I've learned or to express my ideas. So what I've included as part of this showcase in this body of work that Dr. Takis is creating here for all of you is it's a blog site, and I'm looking at it right now. It's a blog site that Sean and I created together when we were both working for the Teaching and Learning Commons at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. And it's called UDL and Media, Why Action and Expression. And it's a very succinct and articulate way of explaining what I just anecdotally explained to you. So I wanted to show how it's possible to take a couple lines of text or a paragraph and to transform it into something else. In semiotics, we actually call that transduction. So when you take something that's in the mode of text and you turn it into the mode of image or film, it's the process of transduction. I know in English we would normally say that that's a transformation, but we use the word transformation differently in semiotics. So I'm actually gonna say transduced, or the process of transduction. So I'm gonna show you how I took a couple of, I think 3 lines from one of Shauna's blog posts, and then I worked with her taking the idea of action and expression within the context of UDL, and then I tried to create as many different ways that I could package Shauna's text using a recording of her on her computer, using infographic generation technology. I use Venngage is what I use. Using video, using animation tools, and even using H5P, which is a tool that you can use to create interactive media. So when you go to this website, there's a very brief explanation of what it is that Shauna and I are trying to get to, what we're trying to explain, and then I actually show you. because I am the person who will show you how things are done. It's sort of my superpower. And now at KPU, I also work as a digital content producer because I have this crazy ability to use action and expression to take something like a policy document and turn it into a series of videos or interactive infographics. Because I'm a visual thinker, so when I read these pages of text, after I read them 3 or 4 times, they'll finally make sense to me. And then my way of really deeply learning the policy or the procedure or whatever is to turn it into a visual medium. And once I do that, then it goes into permanent memory for me. But I can read a document like twice or even sometimes 3 times, and I keep forgetting. My brain doesn't want to remember text. So our blog post shows you how I've taken the text and turned it into, let's see here, I'll walk us through it here. So we start with the original blog post. Then I show you how I turn it into an infographic. Then I show you how I turn it into a graphic novel, because I'm a nerd and a geek. Then I turned it into a narrated video where we hear Shauna's voice and we see images popping up and whatnot. Then we do a talking head video that's enhanced with some animations, some little thought bubbles. So we see Shauna talking and we see the thought bubbles showing up. Then I interpret it as an animated video where we hear Shauna's voice, but we see an animated version of Shauna talking in an animated background. And then I turn it into an interactive H5P presentation. And the reason why this is important for us as instructors is twofold. First of all, it means that we are able to present information to our students in a number of different ways so that the textbook learners aren't the only ones that we are serving. We are finding the Gordon Cobbs who are visual thinkers, and we're connecting with them, or people who understand better by doing or understand better by listening. And then second of all, we are modeling that behavior for our students in the hopes that maybe they will come up with an interesting way to interpret our assignments, because that's critical thinking. If you can take some kind of a prompt or a brief that you're given and figure out an interesting and innovative way to express that, that's kind of what the real world is for a lot of us. That's been my whole career. That's how I got work as a composer, because I wasn't a typical composer. That's how I got work in a university, because I teach music in a way that very few people teach music. So this is the way forward as we march on in the 21st century. We got to figure out ways to inspire our students to think outside of the box and to be creative, because that's how innovation happens. And I truly believe that studying UDL and learning how to implement it little bit by little bit into your teaching practice is not only going to make teaching more exciting for you, but it's also an excuse to learn new skills, to do a little bit of professional development, and also to make your class more engaging for your students. Because, like it or not, they're a visual generation. They've grown up with, web media, iPhones, interactive media. So that's kind of how they think. And UDL allows us to meet them in their world. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this short little presentation, and give UDL a try. You've got nothing to lose.